From the moment humanity first looked up at the night sky, the stars have symbolized mystery, power, and limitless possibility. And though ancient civilizations worshipped the heavens and dreamt of reaching beyond, the true race to space began during the Cold War when the Soviet Union shocked the world by launching Sputnik in 1957, the first artificial satellite, forcing the United States into an urgent competition that escalated when Yuri Gagarin became the first human in space, and later when Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon in 1969. But while that first race was about prestige and Cold War dominance, the race unfolding now is far more complex, global, and dangerous because this time it is not only about planting flags, but about resources, military supremacy, technology, leadership, and even survival, as space has become the new high ground where whoever controls or dominates could shape the future of Earth itself. Today, the United States and China stand as the two giants in this unfolding drama, each pouring billions into lunar missions, Mars projects, satellite networks, and military capabilities in orbit, while Russia, Europe, India, and private companies like SpaceX, Blue Origin, and others play their own crucial roles in shaping this competition. But the spotlight remains firmly on the rivalry between Washington and Beijing, and for good reason, because America still enjoys a massive lead in terms of operational satellites, advanced launch vehicles, and a thriving private sector. Yet China is closing the gap with breathtaking speed, launching more rockets annually than any other nation and achieving feats that once seemed impossible, such as landing rovers on the far side of the moon, building the Tiangong space station, and planning a permanent lunar base with Russia known as the International Lunar Research Station. The United States, on its part, has its Artemis program, which aims not just to return astronauts to the moon, but to build sustainable infrastructure at the lunar South Pole, a region of particular interest because scientists believe deposits of water ice there could be turned into drinking water, breathable oxygen, or even rocket fuel, transforming the moon into a launch hub for deeper missions to Mars and beyond. And in this competition, both sides are accelerating not only scientific missions but also the militarization of space, with Washington establishing the U.S. Space Force and investing heavily in anti-satellite defense systems, while China continues to test counter-space capabilities, including satellite jamming, cyber attacks, and even kinetic kill vehicles designed to destroy enemy satellites, raising fears that the next Great War may begin not on Earth, but in orbit. What makes this race even more pressing is that space today is woven into daily life on Earth, with satellites providing GPS, communication, weather forecasting, banking systems, and military intelligence, meaning that in any future conflict, disabling an opponent's space assets could cripple entire nations, making control over the orbital battlefield just as critical as control over land, sea, or air. And while this sounds like science fiction, recent developments prove it is very real. China's Chang'e E6 mission returned samples from the far side of the moon in 2024. Something no country had ever done before, while NASA's Artemis program continues to prepare for manned lunar landings despite delays, with the first crewed mission expected in the late 2020s, and behind this race lies a bigger ambition. Whoever secures the Moon's resources first could dominate not just space exploration, but the global economy for centuries to come. Yet the race does not stop at the moon, because Mars has already entered the picture, with Elon Musk's SpaceX pushing forward the Starship program designed to carry humans to the Red Planet, and China openly declaring its goal of sending taikonauts there by the 2030s, while America plans similar missions under NASA's longer-term strategy, meaning humanity may soon witness the colonization of another planet. But again, the question is, who gets there first, and under whose flag? Alongside these dramatic missions, the race is also unfolding in quieter but equally crucial arenas such as satellite mega-constellations, with SpaceX's Starlink already deploying thousands of satellites for global internet coverage, a network that has already played a decisive role in the Russia-Ukraine war by keeping Ukrainian forces connected despite Russian attempts to cut communication, proving how commercial systems can alter geopolitics, while China develops its own rival network called Guoang, with plans for thousands of satellites to ensure no dependence on foreign infrastructure, thus deepening the divide between digital ecosystems. Meanwhile, Russia, though economically constrained, leverages its partnership with China to stay relevant, contributing decades of expertise in rocketry and nuclear space propulsion, and Europe, India, and Japan all push forward with independent programs, ensuring the race is not purely bipolar but increasingly multipolar, where alliances and partnerships may determine who rises and who falls. But this grand race is not without dangers, because as more and more satellites are launched, space debris has become a critical threat, with over 100 million pieces of junk orbiting Earth, from tiny fragments to abandoned rocket stages, each capable of destroying active spacecraft at incredible speeds. And if even one collision triggers a chain reaction, it could render entire orbits unusable in what scientists call the Kessler syndrome, effectively locking humanity out of space for generations. Then there is the question of law, because current treaties like the Outer Space Treaty of 1967 prohibit weapons of mass destruction in space, but remain vague on issues like resource mining property rights and military satellites, creating a legal vacuum that powers like the US and China may exploit, raising fears of conflict over lunar territories, asteroid resources, or orbital dominance. And while advocates argue that competition will fuel innovation, lower costs, and push humanity further, critics warn that without cooperation, this could spiral into an arms race that leaves Earth more vulnerable than ever, especially if rival nations begin testing anti-satellite weapons in greater numbers, scattering debris and making space unsafe for everyone. Yet despite all these risks, the momentum is unstoppable. Because for governments, space is not just science. It is power, it is influence, and it is survival, and no nation wants to be left behind. So China pushes ahead with its lunar base plan for the 2030s. America invests heavily in Artemis and Mars preparation. Private companies revolutionize launch costs, and military strategists view orbit as the ultimate high ground of 21st century warfare. In the end, the race for space domination is not only about who will be first on the Moon or Mars, but about who will control the systems that make modern life possible, who will set the rules of resource use, who will dictate the future of communication, navigation, and defense, and whether humanity will choose collaboration to expand into the stars together or confrontation that could weaponize the heavens and bring conflict to realms once thought untouchable. The story is still unfolding. The finish line is nowhere in sight, and yet every rocket launch, every satellite deployment, every lunar rover is another step in a race that will define not only our century, but the destiny of generations to come. Because the nation that dominates space may well dominate Earth itself. And the question that lingers like a shadow over every mission is simple, but profound. Will humanity use the stars to unite or to divide forever?